For centuries, Westeros was a fractured landmass. 7 distinct kingdoms were locked in a perpetual cycle of border skirmishes and territorial disputes, bleeding each other over minor grievances. Just off the eastern coast on the island of Dragonstone, Aegon Targaryen watched this chaos from a distance. The remnants of the fallen Balerion Empire in Essos practically begged him to fly east and rebuild their dominion. He refused. He kept his dragons grounded and his gaze fixed west. His focus on Westeros stemmed from a prophetic vision he called the Song of Ice and Fire. Aegon dreamed of a winter gusting out of the distant north, carrying an absolute darkness that would consume the world of the living. To prepare for this threat, he commissioned a massive wooden map called the Painted Table. He didn't carve the political borders of the 7 kingdoms into it. He mapped the continent as one single, unified landmass, waiting years for a geopolitical pretext to move. It arrived when the Storm King rejected a marriage alliance with Aegon's half-brother, chopping off the envoy's hands and sending them back in a box. Aegon swiftly sent ravens to every High Lord in Westeros, declaring that there would now be only one true king. He viewed the conquest as a logistical necessity, a way to pool the manpower of all 7 kingdoms before the winter from his dreams arrived. When diplomacy failed, the dragons were deployed. King Harrenhal barricaded himself inside Harrenhal, assuming the massive stone walls would protect him. Aegon rode Balerion high above the castle, bathing it in dark fire, roasting Harren alive, and melting the massive stone towers like wax. Shortly after, the combined armies of the Reach and the Westerlands fielded 50,000 men against Aegon's vastly smaller force. For the only time in the war, Aegon and his 2 sisters deployed all 3 dragons at once, igniting the dry grass of the battlefield and incinerating 4,000 soldiers in minutes. Yet the moment the surviving lords surrendered, Aegon halted the bloodshed and offered them complete forgiveness. They kept their lands and their wealth and their high titles as long as they swore fealty to the Iron Throne. Recognizing this pattern, Torrhen Stark marched his northern army south, assessed the blackened ruins of the previous battles, and chose to bend the knee without drawing a single sword. His people were spared, and he retained control of Winterfell. Aegon further pacified the population by adapting to their customs. He officially converted to the faith of the 7 and allowed the newly assimilated regions to maintain their traditional local laws instead of imposing Valyrian rules. By offering absolute annihilation to those who resisted and total mercy to those who yielded, Aegon minimized protracted sieges. This binary strategy allowed him to rapidly subdue a massive, culturally diverse continent with minimal loss of infrastructure. With the fighting largely paused, Aegon needed to hold the new territory together. He remained an enigmatic figure, rarely involving himself in daily governance, and delegated the vast majority of administrative duties to his sister wives, Visenya and Rhaenys. To manage the sprawling new bureaucracy, he created the office of the Hand of the King. He appointed his closest friend and bastard half-brother, Orys Baratheon, to execute his will and manage the newly appointed Lords Paramount across the continent. At the center of this new government sat the Iron Throne. Aegon had it forged from the surrendered swords of his enemies, explicitly demanding that the blades remain sharp. He believed a king should never sit comfortably, ensuring the physical seat of power was as treacherous as the act of ruling. He understood that dragons could win a war, but they couldn't collect taxes or enforce laws. Governing a unified realm required a functioning administrative hierarchy, paired with the psychological weight of an imposing, ever-present threat. This system fractured in the harsh southern deserts of Dorne. The Dornish refused to field large armies or defend stone walls. Instead, they abandoned their castles, hid in the sands, and launched rapid guerrilla strikes, completely neutralizing the aerial advantage of the dragons. The conflict turned disastrous during an assault on the fortress of Hellholt. A heavy iron bolt fired from a scorpion struck the silver dragon directly through the eye. The beast crashed, taking Queen Rhaenys down with her. Her death triggered a period known as the Dragon's Wrath. Consumed by grief and rage, Aegon and his sisters spent the next 2 years setting fire to every Dornish stronghold they could find, attempting to burn the entire region into submission. Despite the devastation, the war only ended when an envoy delivered a sealed letter from the Prince of Dorne directly to Aegon. The exact contents remain a mystery, but upon reading it, Aegon immediately agreed to terms of peace. Dorne remained an independent principality. The failure to conquer the Deep South forced Aegon to accept a geographical compromise on his vision, proving that total unity could not be achieved through raw military force alone. For the final decades of his life, Aegon pivoted away from expansion and focused heavily on nation-building. He ordered the construction of a permanent capital city, King's Landing, raising massive defensive walls around the initial wooden fort he built upon his arrival. To maintain stability, he spent nearly half his time on royal progresses. By physically traveling from castle to castle with a massive retinue, he kept the central authority highly visible, ensuring both the High Lords and the small folk remembered exactly who ruled them. 37 years after his coronation, Aegon suffered a massive stroke while standing over the painted table on Dragonstone, collapsing as he recounted the tales of his conquest to his young grandsons. Following ancient Valyrian custom, his body was laid on a funeral pyre, his hands wrapped tightly around his Valyrian steel sword, Blackfire. With his own mount, Balerion, lacking a rider to command it, Visenya ordered her dragon, Vhagar, to light the flames. Aegon left the continent governed by a single administrative center and a professional bureaucracy. This structure was his legacy, a continental mobilization effort built specifically to face the catastrophe he believed was waiting in the north.